Let's take a look at the EOS 80D and see what it really holds. Hi, my name is Frank White and welcome to another episode of Photography Tips and Reviews. In today's episode, I am going to discuss the 80D, which I'm sure by now you have heard about. The 80D is a crop sensor camera. So first of all, let me start by saying that if you already have a 60D or a 70D, I'm not so sure I would run out and upgrade to the 80D. Particularly if I have the 70D, because the things that you get from the 70D to the 80D is pretty much incremental. 60D and below, 60D is kind of a, maybe I might wait for another iteration, and if you've got anything below a 60D, then it's definitely worth the upgrade. Okay, so the 80D, the Canon EOS 80D does have a 24.2 megapixel sensor, APS-C crop sensor. So, that's nothing new. It is a quite capable sensor. That the sensor is powered with the Canon Digi6 processor, which really is required for that faster processing and that autofocusing system that's built into the Canon 80D. This camera is suited more towards the experienced or amateur photographer, and partly because, number one, it does have only one Digi6 processor. The Pro bodies generally have more than one processor dedicated strictly to the autofocusing system. However, the autofocusing system in this camera is absolutely fantastic. I noticed that Canon did not say in any of the literature that I specifically looked at that this camera is targeted primarily to the experienced pro, but personally, I do consider this a prosumer grade camera, particularly given its price point. The body of this camera comes in at around $1,200 or $1,350 with the kit lens, and I'll mention more about the kit lens in just a few minutes. The body is weather resistant, so as long as it's drizzling, you're not in a downpour, then it's safe to get out there and do some shooting with this camera. But be sure that you got a weather-resistant lens on it too. And the lens that come with it, the 18 to 35 millimeter EF-S kit lens, I don't think that lens is weather sealed, so really be careful there. This camera has a 100% field of view viewfinder, which means that you will be able to compose your picture in that viewfinder by looking in it, and what you see in the viewfinder is what you get. So you don't have to worry about something creeping into your frame that you didn't anticipate. That if you are like me, a lot of times I don't see stuff until I get it in post. And I am working hard at trying to remember to check my frame from end to end, corner to corner, before I make that picture. I'm getting better at that. Okay, this body is capable of 7 frames per second, and it can shoot up to 25 raw frames before that buffer fills. What that means is that gives you approximately 3.5 seconds of continuous shooting before it slows down. And 3 seconds may not sound like a lot, but it's a pretty good length of time. It has 45 autofocus cross-type points, which is really cool. Those cross-type points are important because it allows you to focus. It allows the camera to see stuff, to see contrast on both the vertical plane and the horizontal plane, hence cross-type. If you're only seeing stuff on the horizontal plane and you are trying to photograph a horizon, then your camera may not focus on it. So that cross-type focal point become really important, and having it spread out all through your camera is awesome. That is, now the 70D, if I'm not mistaken, only had 19 cross-type points. It does have the articulating screen, so there's nothing new there. Now, one of the things that set this camera apart is the video system. It has a really good video system, and I'm choosing my words carefully. I would love to say great, but it's missing 4K, and that's the only thing that's keeping me from saying it has a great auto video system. The video system has continuous focus in live view mode with phase detection focus, and don't get phase detection confused with the cross type. Phase detection means that as you are videoing, each pixel in the camera is looking for a contrast, so it really helps that camera grab, without getting all technical on you, it really helps that camera grab focus and keep it. It really makes the focus silky, give you that Hollywood type focusing feel. But as I mentioned earlier, it does have the 18 to 35, the 18 to 135 millimeter kit lens that come with it, and you know, that's another thing that relegate this camera more towards the prosumer level, because the 18 to 35 or the 18 to 135 millimeter kit lens is a variable aperture, which means as you focus out, that aperture closes up. It stops letting light in, and that variable aperture is commonly found more on the amateur or the prosumer grade lenses, as opposed to a fixed aperture, where I could set the aperture, say, to f2.8, and whether I'm shooting at 70 millimeters or 100 millimeters or 135 millimeters, you know, I'm still at f2.8, even down to 35 and 50 millimeters. Now the body also has included with it Wi-Fi capability and NFC, or near field communications, which is a system that really should help you be able to set up the Wi-Fi a little bit easier. Now, I've heard other photographers mention that Wi-Fi on DSL bodies, particularly the Canon Wi-Fi, is virtually useless. And I beg to differ with that. Now, the Wi-Fi is cumbersome if you intend to transfer a photo from the camera to your cell phone, then upload it to a photo sharing website like Flickr or PX500 or whatever. But where the Wi-Fi really comes into play at is when you tether your camera to your cell phone wirelessly, so that you can set that camera up and use your cell phone or your mobile device to control the camera. You can often change the aperture, the shutter speed, your ISO, so you can control your exposure triangle using your wireless device. And I recently had an opportunity to use that when I was making some pictures of a sunset, and I was waiting for that second sunset light to pop up, and it was too dark for me to see my controls on the back of the camera, but I was able to see them on my cell phone. So if you're doing, so there are some practical uses for the Wi-Fi. So tethering is one of them. Now, what this camera is missing is the 4K video, as I mentioned, and it would have been awesome. Come on, Canon, we do need 4K in our DSLR bodies, even if we don't intend to use it. It's something that for the few of us who want to use it, we want to have it, especially at the price points, given that other cameras that are a lot cheaper produce 4K video. Also missing, notably missing from the 80D is GPS, which I think is really important, because if you're doing landscape photography or you are out and using this camera on a vacation, then it would be awesome to geotag your pictures so that when you pull them up, you can recall the camera. The picture can help you recall exactly where it was taken. So GPS is one of those things that really should have been included in this camera. So that pretty much wraps it up for my critique of the. So that pretty much wraps it up for my critique of the EOS 80D DSLR. I hope to have an opportunity to actually get my hands on it after it's shipped, so I can do a hands-on review. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I kind of use that as my barometer to tell how well I'm presenting this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I read them all, even if this video is a year or more old, 2 or 3 years old, I still will go back and read the comments. If you're gonna shoot anybody today, shoot them with a Canon or a camera of your choice. And remember, great pictures are not taken, they're created.